Hey, so it's been a while. The holidays were here, family, and just kind of took it easy. Did a little bit of stuff over the holidays you'll see in this video. Working on some of the lights, the backlights, and tracking down some things that weren't working. Also, what we're going to do is we're going to start on the inside of the car here. So I've got to get the emergency brake back out, and we're going to start welding up and trying to fix this so we can get the seats in, and get the inside done as far as welding and everything goes. So I've got this side down along here. You can see that needs to be done. There's that crack. Runs along there. I need to figure out what I'm going to do for the seats. And then this same thing on the other side. And then that hole there. And that'll be the stuff for the inside. And then we can start working on the stuff on the outside. But yeah, that's what we're going to work on today. And I do have some parts over here, but these are actually for the Beetle. Got engine mounts, but I am waiting on the bolts to come in, so I still have to wait on those. And once those come in, we'll try to put the engine mounts in on the Bug, but we'll work on this for today. All right, so I just kind of started doing stuff and just realized I wasn't filming anything. So we started trying to narrow down some of the light issues, some of the electrical issues. The first thing was the brake lights didn't work. And what we did was we pulled the wires off the brake switch and jumped them. And they still didn't work. So then we came back to the back and started wiggling some things around, and they started to come alive. So I noticed that the brake switch is stuck. So when you push the brake pedal, it releases the button, which makes the connection to turn the brake lights on. And then when you let off the pedal, it comes back and pushes the button in and takes the connection away. So that button is stuck on the off position, so that needs to be replaced. But at least it's getting to the back. But the back was really severely corroded. So what I have done is I have taken these all apart and cleaned everything up. So like these terminals here. See if you can see that. Clean those off. I'll replace the bulbs, but for now I just cleaned off these little connector parts here and here and here. These were rusty, so I put those in some Evaporust overnight and cleaned those up. And then also, I have taken out the back lights because I want to try to clean the inside, because some of this is pretty dark down in here where I think some of the water was sitting. And I wanted to replace the seals anyway, and they need to come out anyway when I go to paint the car. So that being said, I might as well take them out now and everything. So that these have got to be cleaned up. These wires I cleaned up. I actually did my my salt and vinegar and baking soda and water trick and cleaned up. These were all corroded. And then I think I'm going to buy some terminal cleaners so I can get in there and clean those. And then the lights will be done once I figure out what I'm going to do with these and how to get these cleaned up, because obviously you can't get this plastic part off of there. I mean, they look pretty good, but I bet you I can get in there and get those somewhat cleaned up, and then clean up this edge, get it ready for a new seal, and just get these cleaned up a little bit as well. And then that'll be ready to go back together, but that's not going to go back on until the car gets painted anyway. So, and I think tomorrow, I think I'm going to work on welding these patches. We're going to see if we can do that tomorrow. Hopefully we can. And then Tuesday, I got to do some work on the bug. My son's car, he got a new radio and speakers, front speakers for that car. So we're going to put those in. And the check engine light came on. I actually bought a scanner. It won't work on this car, but it'll work on my Bug. It'll work on my Santa Fe. It'll work on my Acadia. So I've got a check engine light coming on. I think the thermostat is open because the car is not warming up fast enough. So we'll work on that on Tuesday, putting that stereo and everything in. But yep, today was just getting these lights out and getting this done and getting this stuff cleaned up. So running down just some electrical issues. So my reverse lights weren't working, but they are now, because here is what I did. I'll show you real quick. So down here, I jumped the wires. So you can see where they plug into right there. So I think my switch, my reverse switch is bad. So that'll need to be replaced, which probably is not going to be an easy task from down here. But yeah, so as soon as I jump those wires, put it in reverse, the reverse lights work. So I'm going to assume that it's a switch because it sure doesn't look like the leads are corroded. They look really clean. So I'm going to say my switch is bad. So we will we'll go from there. Maybe I'll plug it back in and see if it'll work. But yep. So plug them back in and they're off. So that switch is not working. So we'll replace that switch then. All right. So running down the electrical problem, front lights work except the low beam on this side. So we tracked it using our multimeter back to the fuse box. So you'll see back there, I've got that wire plugged into that bottom left socket. That's the wire that goes to that front left headlight. And then I have it coming and jumped into here on the fuse box. Well, what ended up happening was the part that junction goes into, that bottom left-hand wire, on this part in the back, the terminal is loose. I think it's corroded away and therefore wasn't making contact. But now that I have that jumped, if I go into the stock and I put my multimeter on my yellow wire, I now get resistance. So I know it's making that loop. So the problem is in the back there. So I got a choice of what I'm going to, because obviously I'm not going to be able to fix that one little terminal back there. All the other lights are working fine. But I'm not going to be able to fix that one terminal back there. So I think what I'm going to do is I think I'm going to leave it like this and then just splice into the wire back there, I think is what I'm going to do. I think that'll be the best alternative. I bought an inline fuse and wire, but I don't think I'm going to use this. I think I'll just use what I have and just splice into that wire. I can get a little clip thing that'll just clip right on there and splice right in. On the other end, I can do that. And maybe I solder it on a little bit just to hold it in there. But, yeah, I tried these, and the hole was too small. The fuse wouldn't go through, and it wouldn't seat in there. I looked at doing something like this, and that hole is just a little too small as well. So the fuse wouldn't seat in the fuse box. So these are a little loose, but at least the fuse goes all the way through, and it seems to be making the connection. I wiggled it. But yeah, that's where that was, that's where that line is bad, is in the fuse box and the pole that goes into the adapter. All right, so we tried a little bit of welding. Tried to cut a piece. Tried to get it in here. Tried to weld this seam up, and I blew right through it. So this metal, I think, is just a little bit thinner than what I got. I asked for 18 gauge. I was told that's, when I looked it up, that's what it said the body was. So I don't know if this isn't 18 gauge and this is a little thicker. I mean, the guy measured it with his little gauge and everything. But I blew right through this. I got a little bit of the welding done, but not much, and I ended up just kind of blowing right through it. So, and trying to bend these pieces, I mean, with this being molded and everything, I don't know. I mean, I just don't know if I've got the skill to do stuff like that. So, what I'm going to do is we're going to try this over here, because these are flat pieces. So I've got these taped off, measured, and I'll get those cut. I'm just kind of piddling around today. I mean, that really kind of upset me. I just don't know if I've got the skill, and there's so much to do with that. There's that over there, there's that over on this side, there's underneath, and then maybe the battery box I might try too, because that's somewhat flat. It doesn't have all those dips and curves in it, and I might just have to bring it to somebody to do this other body work. But I'll try to do these, and we'll see how that goes. Okay, so I took that tape, transferred it to a piece of cardboard. And what I found actually works really, really well for the cardboard is actually like cereal boxes, because it's stiff enough, but easy enough to cut. So I think I am pretty good with that one. I might have to trim just a little off this corner here. And I took a little too much off of right down here. So when I transfer that, I'll have to remember that. But I think we're pretty good with that piece. So what I'm doing is I'm actually using the magnet. Use just some purple power, and I'll clean the surface, put this down, trace it, cut it out. I'll use either my die grinder for my compressor. Some of the smaller cuts I'll use a Dremel. I got some cutting wheels for the Dremel. So those are the two things that I'm going to try to use to get all these pieces cut, and we'll see how this goes. Okay, so today we are going to work on getting these pieces actually cut out. I've got the cardboard. Like I said before, what worked really well was actually cereal boxes. So I still have some work to do on this one. I've got to get it bent so it can bend down underneath this, and then do a little trimming up underneath here as well. So there's still a little bit of work to do on that one, but all in all, that one went pretty well, so I'm going to start trying to do some of the other ones as well. All right, Not too shabby on this one. A couple of little gaps. But once again, it's not going to be perfect. This side, I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to try to weld this to this back piece here. But that turned out pretty good. Pretty happy with it. All right, next patch is in. Not welded in, but cut. That one's come out pretty good. A little bit of distance right here. But all in all, pretty happy with that too. Moving right along. Next one's in. Got the last one to cut. And then I got to figure out how I'm going to bend this one to work around that. Figure that one out. So I got one more to cut. All right. The last one is cut and in. That fits pretty good as well. So all that's left now is just figuring out how to bend this and dealing with this. All right, so I think I got that in there. Probably as good as I'm going to get it. So I just kind of cut a little bit off of this top, about the depth of the metal. And then right here, it was rusted further back. But I was able to bend this, and it's pretty much sitting. It's going to be a little higher, but I don't think that'll matter. But maybe once I get it in and weld it in, I'll be able to pound that down a little bit more. But that is in. So that's all those pieces cut, shaped, and ready to go in. I mean, these three pieces are tight enough that I don't even need a magnet to hold them in. These two I needed. But, yep, pretty good day.